A former Deputy National Youth Organizer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, Edem Agbana, has been declared the winner of Saturday's parliamentary primaries in the Ketu North constituency of the Volta region. Now, the national leadership of the party announced through its General Secretary, Fifi Kwete, on Tuesday, May 16, 2023, after a committee probed the dispute. Now, you may be aware that he and another tied. This decision also comes in the wake of various concerns expressed by some party stalwarts of executive interference or the interference of executives in the parliamentary and presidential primaries over the weekend. Now let's speak to political scientist Dr. Asa Asante. Doc, grateful to have you here. We had you on Saturday when we were covering the NDC's parliamentary and presidential primaries. It's quite an interesting turn of events for there to be two people having the same votes cast for them and the party deciding that this person must represent the party in the general elections. Your quick thoughts?
I think it's a very interesting situation. Interesting in the sense that if you look at the things that came out from that counting, one, we saw ballots which were not stamped. Then we saw, when they counted, Edem had won by one, but that one is also without stamp at the back, but it has serial numbers and all that. It tells us that this problem, if we don't deal with it, it can blow in on our faces 2024. Because, I'm sorry, you are getting somebody who through no fault of his, he has won, and yet somebody didn't stamp the ballot. Why would somebody pay for the sense of a professional who is supposed to know his work and do it well, right? Can it be a case that these people can employ this type of tactics to deprive people of the opportunity to serve their society when they have genuinely been given the mandate by their people? It brings to the fore a whole lot of questions that we need to answer if we are to deal with this. But I think the way forward is that we should make sure that the ballots before the votes are cast for elections, they check all the backs whether they have been stamped properly. And then once you do that, somebody goes through and all that, then all the actors satisfy themselves that the ballots have been stamped. Then you go into, giving out for people to express their choice on them. Once we do that, it can minimize some of these problems. And then when the party, in a matter of this, when the NDC had to come in, people are condemning the NDC. I don't condemn them because this election, there is no law saying that the EC should manage for them. They, on their own volition, contacted the EC to do it for them. So when there is a problem, it can come back to them to deal with it. Imagine they themselves had handled the situation and this thing arose. What would have been the situation? So they've dealt with it. But going forward, we need to make sure that we make people responsible for the work that they do as, professionals handling these things, so that at the national level, you are not going to give to any party. You only head for cost, and some of these things have their own repercussions.
Let's look at the political cost of this decision by the NDC's executives, because initially we heard there was going to be a rerun. Wouldn't that have been a better option than the party deciding that let's give it to this person? Because initially we know that Edem won by one vote, there was a contest, there was a recount and all that. What is the cost politically?
The cost is that if somebody is aggrieved, in this case, he can decide to take another decision by during next election, you will not vote for a party that you trust or support. That can be one. It can also open the Pandora's box for others to, emulate this type of example that where people would deliberately created situation for the party to come in and make a pronouncement and all that. But for me, I don't think that the NDC was wrong having done it themselves by declaring. If going forward, the party is not interested in this, then they must put something on paper to address it. That when it happens this way, it is the party that will handle it, or it is sent to court for redress.
Because we know that it is the EC that declares, because the EC supervise the elections.
But in this election, there's no law saying that the EC should do it. They on their own invited the EC. Because the EC is not entitled by law to supervise it. It can only do the executive one. So once they are done with this, the decision rests on the party. But going forward, I think the party must come out in clear terms as to the procedure. If they are going to do, or even if the EC is doing, are they giving the EC the mandate to make a determination in matters of this nature? Or is it the case that they will determine and what will be how it will be done? These things must be spelled out on paper. Once it's done, we are good to go.
I appreciate your time here this morning. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante is a political scientist at the University of Ghana, sharing his thoughts with us on that one regarding Edem Agbana and the NDC primaries held over the weekend. He has been declared winner after a tie, and the party believes that he should represent it in the 2024 elections. Let's stay a moment.